Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know a single thing that I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh.
Today is September 18th, 2020, Friday of the 24th week in Ordinary Time, and you are tuned into Deacons Discussions and Drinks.
There's so much that I'm still keeping to myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong?
Hey, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to another episode of Deacons Discussions and Drinks. I'm Deacon Tim Stout,
I'm Deacon Dallas Kelly.
I'm Father Ling Nguyen.
and we're back in the studio at Cardome, and we have Father Danny Taylor live with us tonight. Welcome to the show, Father Danny.
Thank you. It's great
Welcome,
to be
Father
here.
Danny.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's overwhelming when people walk in here for the first time.
Yeah.
See this setup.
This is a real deal setup. I mean, I feel intimidated kind of by this. No pun intended, intimidated. But there we go.
I got it. Don't be intimidated. We'll try to break the ice just a little bit before we jump into you and your intro. We always like to start with some current events. So we'll talk a little bit about current events. We'll come to you if you want to throw one in. Just
Cool.
kind of gets the show going. Sometimes these guys, I'm the hardest work. Steve's the hardest working guy here. I'm the second hardest working guy here.
We just guess.
These guys don't really work that hard.
That's
so,
fine.
but
I climbed a flight of stairs to be here. Thank you.
so you want to start with current events?
Sure. You ready?
Yeah. Which one are you going to use? You going to use the one we talked about?
No.
Okay, you can do that one. I'll use the one we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Federal judge rules in Pennsylvania that Governor Tom Wolf's COVID-19 shutdowns are unconstitutional. Federal judge struck down some Pennsylvania's coronavirus restrictions as unconstitutional, including the closure of non-life-sustaining businesses. The federal judge ruled forcing businesses to shut down entirely and stay-at-home order are both unconstitutional. Some business owners say they've been waiting to hear that ruling for months. It actually brought tears to my eyes, one store owner
Wow.
said.
That's happening here too.
Yeah, we will be ruled on sometime in the future about that too.
I think the arguments were today or yesterday. I think at the Supreme Court.
It's hearing today.
Yeah,
Yesterday.
Yeah, crazy.
I think they ruled you cannot take people's civil liberties like that.
Well, you brought that up. The Diocese of San Francisco this weekend will protest because San Francisco is still banned indoor mass. They only allow one person.
One, yes.
And outdoor, only less than 10 people. So the bishop is routing up the Catholic to do a protest with adoration, Blessed Sacrament procession, make their way to the cathedral and section people off in 50s and celebrate mass.
Is that Corleone?
Corleone. It sounds very Godfather-like.
Yeah. Have they not seen the movies? You don't want to mess
Mess
with
around
some
Corleone, right?
So hey, that's a good current event too. Good
It's awesome. It's just and then interesting. Jerome Listecki from Milwaukee was my moral professor. He just placed back for restriction, obligation to go to mass. And mass is obligate now.
Is that Milwaukee?
In Milwaukee.
Yeah, he was the first.
He's the second.
The second. Was it somebody in South Dakota? Or
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Yeah. So, well, my current event was for the second time in a few weeks. There was a priest that was identified that wasn't actually ordained. And I bring that up because I said Father Danny Taylor's going to be on the show next week, and Dow said, "Are you sure he's a?"
Are you sure he's baptized?
I got to go back and watch the replay. So.
Well, that's your generation, right? I mean, now the generations now have that replay, so I guess there could be some other ones.
Well, the funny thing about it, I hate to jump in here right now.
Good. Yeah, go ahead.
I was cleaning out my mom's garage during quarantine, and it was just, the garage was just disgusting. But anyways, we got it kind of put together, and I found a tape that said Danny's baptism. It was a VHS tape. And I was like, oh, awesome. I'm going to see my baptism. So I put it in, and it had been recorded over by like some cartoon from the 1990s. So I'll never know if I'm validly baptized, but we'll see.
We just assumed that you were.
Yeah.
So,
Let me ask, who baptized you?
Bob Murphy, Jesuit.
Oh, no, that's a Jesuit. That's questionable.
He was old school, though.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like one of the 1920s.
God love Bob.
I hope that, yeah.
Oh, he's legit.
Sure.
He's a real thing.
are the Jesuits the ones that started all the language changes?
No comment.
Yeah, I don't feel qualified nor brave enough to answer that question.
There will be a study done. The church will commission a study to find out how many of these pop up over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And
I find it.
what's the root cause?
Yeah, I find it amazing that it's just one word, and it's the first word. We, instead of I.
Yeah, I'm sure those I guess both of them were deacons. Sorry, deacons.
That's all right.
We follow the rules.
We follow.
Yeah.
We follow the rules.
Follow Dennis's advice.
I'm sure they thought they were doing something that was kind of innocuous. They weren't trying to do anything wrong. It's just, hindsight's 20/20. So follow the rules, like you said.
You remember the big controversial over the translation of the creed? You remember? I believe and we believe. Remember that? When we go back to the I, people say, why was it excluded? There's theology behind that.
Yeah.
There's a reason. The theological reason, because we use I, not we.
We could do a whole show on that, couldn't we?
Oh, definitely. I can help you with that.
You'll be in charge of that episode?
I can do that.
I'd like
because
to listen to that episode.
I'm a liturgical trainer in that. Understand why theology behind that. Just look up, the Pope Emeritus. Pope Emeritus.
I'm writing it down right now. Father Lynn is going to lead a class
On one word.
on one word. We versus I.
Just read Pope Emeritus. He have a clarification over the creed, why we use I, not we. That's real thing.
Okay, I've got it written down.
Oh, no.
So
Not episode 24.
no, that'll be 30 something, 30 something for sure.
And you're on your own on that one because I ain't going to be able to help you much.
That'll be when we're on vacation. You can do that show.
We'll give you the key.
We'll give you. No, Steve's saying no. We'll give you an iPhone. You can do that one and record that one on your own.
You have to. You have to stop and get your own beer.
We'll edit that. Father Danny, you got any current events you'd like to talk about, share, thoughts?
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's just so much going on. I'm just overwhelmed with the news. I kind of just...
Turn it off?
I know it's escapist, but, I'm not a big news watcher.
What's going on down in Somerset? Anything exciting going on down there?
Somerset? I mean, gosh. There's just like any other parish, just trying to worship God during the pandemic, trying to bring together a community. It's hard to do. But yeah, just like everybody else, just trying to keep things together. I couldn't give you any specific events.
I did watch your live stream from last Sunday. I always like to do a little bit of research. And, I thought you all did a good job. Really, no, I think your streaming is pretty good. So
yeah, no, they do a really good job. They have a really nice setup and people well trained to troubleshoot and get that.
Didn't look like a whole lot of people inside. What's the capacity?
So we're doing the mass counts right now. I think last week we have 3 masses. I think 160 people in total between the 3 masses. We have 2 English masses, 1 Spanish. I think the breakdown of that was like 100, maybe 90 English speakers, and then there was 70 Spanish speakers. So
wow,
yeah,
that's an interesting breakdown. So you're at St. Mildred's in Somerset.
That's correct. Yes. So I'm the parochial vicar at St. Mildred's and Good Shepherd Catholic Mission in Whitley City, and then also the sacramental minister along with Father Jay, who's my pastor, at St. Peter in Monticello. So get around quite a bit.
Yeah, he sounds like he's got more going on than you do.
I don't think so.
Well, but I think our viewer need to know Father Dan is a baby priest. He's the youngest, latest ordained in our diocese. But the question need to ask Father Dan is, how's it going? Are you still fresh?
It's going good. I mean, it's gone by so fast, and like you trying to get me to name current events and everything. The events, man, I'm just trying to catch up. You know? It's crazy. Like, you know this, Father Len. It's just like everything comes at once, and you know, 1 minute you're in a hospital room. Literally, I was with somebody when they died. You're doing quinceañeras, which I've never done before, so I don't know what I'm doing there.
We like those up here.
Baptizing, yeah.
Spanish baptism and quinceañeros. Those are like the good ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, things are just so crazy. One of the things that's a big takeaway, I think, of my first couple months as a priest is admiration for just regular people. Because you just, as a priest, you know, you get this this unearned intimacy, and you get to see into people's lives, and just to see what people go through, especially during this pandemic, and the bravery and kind of trying to look out for their families and take care of them. It's just amazing. So admiration for people be number one.
But they bring you a lot of comfort, isn't it? The people, the parishioner, is for me is truly the engine for who we are as priests. You know, it doesn't matter what you learn. You know, there's a lot of knowledge in you about to form and to push. But for me, to be integrating, spend time with people, you know, it's a phenomenal to see the faith I have.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, that's what pushes you. Like, that's what gets you through, you know. And I guess I think that's what people are missing during the pandemic and everything is just, you know, the problem, I guess, for me is that I haven't gotten to know most of the community because most people are not coming to Mass. And, you know, I am looking forward to that great day when we're all able to get back together again. But in the meantime, everything's been great. I can't complain.
Had you pushed the envelope yet? Kind of knock on people's door and say, hey, I'm Father Dan, just want to visit you. During this pandemic, have to
So
push
I started a calling campaign where I was calling people out of the directory. But then people thought I was a scammer. So they called the parish and they talked to Marquita, which is our parish secretary, beloved secretary. She's awesome. And they're like, I think a scammer's calling, pretending to be a priest. He's trying to get money out of us. I never mentioned money. But it was funny. It was funny. So I was looking through the directory calling people. And one of the person I called, I saw they had a dog. And it had the name of the dog in the directory. So I was trying to start conversation. And I asked, so how's Skipper doing, or whatever the dog's name? And he goes, Skipper died. And then right at that moment, the dog barked in the background. So he's like, gotta go. So
Wow.
it's funny. I'm trying to do the reach out, but you got to be prudent when you do that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying, but trying and failing and learning. That's what it means. That's the name of the game.
Welcome to priesthood.
Discipleship. Priesthood, yeah.
There's we have to interrupt this broadcast.
Oh, wow.
There is breaking news.
Cool.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died. So, wow, Supreme Court justice died.
Yeah, that doesn't make this election process any less contentious, does it?
Nah.
It's 2020.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to say that. I mean, we should. Obviously, somebody died. That's not good. I don't want to make a joke.
no.
Yeah.
But it's you're right. I mean, you factor that into everything else that's going on with. I mean, even if you took out the pandemic, I mean, let's face it, if we took out the pandemic, 2020 would still be a crazy year. And, you know, throw in a Supreme Court justice and what we think will happen with, let's face it, with the Trump administration, what will try to happen in the next short period of time. It may not be enough time, but they would probably try to push a justice through a short period of time.
Oh, not enough time.
Yeah. But
No, I'm not changing the subject. The other day I was hearing this piece. None of us ever imagined those kid was born on 9/11. Okay?
his kids.
19 years later.
Steve has triplets, by the way.
Yeah.
Born on 9/11, 2001. Oh, no. Okay.
19 years later, they face another crisis, major crisis of the pandemic. And they're in college.
Mm-hmm.
Is that amazing?
Gosh,
Those kids, I'm telling you, nobody thought about that.
they're gonna be some tough kids.
Yeah.
Tough
Yeah.
adults, I should say.
Hey, I mean, it's just crazy. And we don't, I just want to make sure we put that news out there. We can come back to that later or circle around if it comes up, but obviously it's something that's crazy going on. Don't leave the podcast if you're watching to go keep us in your ears, and at least anyway. I'm sure the newscasts are popping all over the place, but it kind of goes in, Father Daniel, with what you're talking about. You just, as a priest, you never know what each day's going to hold, right?
That's right. There are just surprises every day, and it's not, I will get into. Well, I guess we'll get into this later, but I just love being a priest. It's amazing. Like, I guess I'm still on the kind of the honeymoon high. I'm sure there will be lulls, just like in a marriage, just like everything. But it's just been amazing. But yeah, there's never a lack of things to do or people to talk to, or
Even during a global pandemic.
That's correct. Yeah. No, in some ways, probably even more now.
Any weddings going on down there in Somerset?
So I've done one wedding since I've been a priest, but that wasn't at Somerset. We have one in October.
I know you married a fellow seminarian, I think, didn't you? No.
Gosh, no. It was actually I married somebody because Father Matteo Zamora, who's a monk of Saint Mildred, who is a former priest of the Diocese of Lexington. He couldn't get out of the abbey. He was cloistered, quarantined. So he said, marry this person for me in Louisville. So I went and married them. I didn't marry them, but I witnessed their marriage.
Oh, you got it right.
Sorry.
See?
I received the vows.
I looked at Tim. No, we're not sticklers. Tim,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm not a theologian, so
No, I mean, that's one of those things.
We say it too that way because the average person listening knows what we mean. When you tell an average parishioner, I witnessed a marriage, their first thought is, oh, you sat in the pew and you witnessed, that's why we say, I married someone, and we say the same thing all the time.
We get corrected not by Father Lynn, but
somebody else.
Somebody else in our parish.
please feel free to correct me.
You said it right. You didn't need a correction. That's actually pretty good. So just one wedding in Louisville.
That's correct,
Yeah.
yeah. And we have one in October, and I don't anticipate St. Mildred's really having that many weddings, to be honest. There's not that many young people in the parish. As the reality, I would imagine, maybe here, I don't know, but the young people are all concentrated in the Spanish-speaking community. I mean, the Anglo community has several young people, but the vast majority would be in the Hispanic community.
And you learned Spanish while you were in the seminary, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's a big emphasis, I would say, nowadays in the seminary is emphasis on being able to speak Spanish and having a little bit of Hispanic cultural knowledge, which I think now that I'm out here is so important, even more important than the language.
You did immersion, didn't you? Go down into was it Guatemala?
Yeah. So they send our diocese sends to Antigua, Guatemala for a couple months during seminary formation sometime, and yeah, I went down there and it was really cool.
Helps out quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
If you know Spanish, your work has doubled.
I'm waiting for my next trip.
He keeps getting wanting us to. No,
Yeah.
It won't help, Danny. We got to get them busy. They say, okay, we're going to learn Spanish.
Y'all need to go down. You guys can go down to Guatemala and do a podcast from there.
There you go. That would be so cool.
What do you think, Steve? We'll get Dr. Stanton's plane and say, hey, we're going to Mexico. They'll see his little plane. They'll say, drug runner. No bueno. Awesome stuff. So St. Mildred's, Somerset, and then you listed off those other parishes. Is it predominantly a agriculture community? What's your makeup, you think, of people down there?
Yeah, I think it varies. I'm still getting to know the communities.
Right.
So I would say that for all three of those communities, the vast majority of the people, the demographic, are people who moved in from the outside. So these aren't native. They might be native Kentuckians, but they're not native of Pulaski County, which is St. Mildred's, Wayne County, Monticello, McCreary County. That's Whitley City. So they're transplants from outside, so they're not natives. And then generally, I would say that they are more professional types. I would say that, at least in the Anglo community. And then, Yeah, there's not much farmers. I think maybe a few that have small farms, but that's not what they have. They gain their livelihood from.
So what has the Spanish-speaking community? What is there a horse industry down there?
No, there's no horse industry. There's a few factories.
Okay.
Obviously, the restaurant and just various restaurants.
Sure.
But there's factories. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what they make in the different factories. But
I should have done
kind
my
of
research
factory
on
work.
that.
And there are farm workers for sure.
yeah.
Agricultural workers in the Hispanic community.
You weren't down that way. Where you were closest you got to that was Danville, right?
No. I'm on Jenkins.
Well, Jenkins
no.
is on the backside.
Well, Whitley City, Danny probably familiar. There's a lot of tourists. Cumberland Lake.
Like, yeah.
The Andres moved down there, right? Joanne and Mike.
Did they really?
Yeah, they moved down there. Joey is going to school down there for final years, and they work down there.
Huh. Well, I know he works from home. He can work from home. Yeah. Where everybody works from home now. So.
Definitely. So it's interesting. It's a beautiful place down there.
Oh no, the natural beauty down there is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got a big lake.
We do. I haven't gotten out on the lake yet, but
What?
Dallas has a brand new boat. We could come down and do some fishing down there.
that would be great.
Are you a fisherman?
Gosh, no, not
He's-
really. But I
He's a
Hunter?
Catholic
No, Hunter?
priest. He is a fisherman.
oh yeah,
Hey, he's a product of
Fisher.
Peter. He had to be a fisherman.
That's true.
Natural. By ordination. Indelible mark as a fisherman.
Interesting. So, as far as an introduction goes, if I ran into you at your church and I was just sitting down and say, "Who's Father Danny Taylor?" How would you answer that question?
I this is going to be, I guess, plagiarism and kind of cliche, but I really like the answer that Pope Francis gave in his first interview after becoming Pope. He said, I am a sinner, but I've been, chosen by God's mercy. I think that's his papal motto or something.
Right.
I know he said I'm a sinner. I don't know what he said after that, but I would say definitely I'm a sinner, but chosen through God's mercy to be a son of God. And mercifully chosen in this vocation of priesthood, and just a follower of Jesus Christ. I would say that would probably be the most concise way of putting it. Catholic. I think that would be the most concise way of putting it. And I wouldn't want to kind of go on, because you could go on and on with these other non-essential things, but I think just somebody who's in love with Jesus Christ and wants to follow him, and that sounds very pious, but I think that would probably be the most accurate.
Well, I mean, sounds good, but now I'm going to ask even a deeper question.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk about your faith story. So, you were ordained in June, right? June of this year.
That's correct. Yeah, June 13th, feast of St. Anthony of Padua.
And so when did you know you wanted to be a priest?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know if this is the most compelling vocation narrative in the world, but
They're all good. They're all special.
Yeah.
Right?
So it was a gradual process for me. It wasn't kind of like a St. Paul on Road to Damascus moment or anything like that. It was just gradual because, I grew up in a Catholic family, Catholic on both sides.
Here in Lexington, right?
Yeah, here in Lexington. Went to Christ the King school, kindergarten through 8th grade, went to Lexington Catholic, then went to UK and kind of stuck around here. I went to Catholic schools growing up. Solid faith formation there, but I really think, it started with my family. I would say it kind of went from the family and went outwards. I would say the biggest thing for me, I guess, looking back on my vocation story, would be this Catholic boys club that my granddad started back in the early 2000s, and it just really built fraternity and made coming to church cool and a place where we could joke around and we didn't have to be super pious. We could, have fun, learn about God. And we did service, went down to the Catholic Action Center every Saturday. And I think it started there. I think that was a starting point.
That's I would say similar to mine as my story as well. Dallas has a more of a bright light conversion, I think, than when I say that, like the Road to Damascus is a good thing. I think calling, I should say, right?
Yeah.
Calling. For me, it was more like yours. You're exposed to it as a family, which is a good way to get a vocation, right? to be exposed through your family. And are you only child, brothers, siblings?
So I'm one of 5 siblings. I'm the middle child. I have 2 older siblings and 2 younger ones. And out of my 5 siblings, I guess this is how it goes nowadays. Only me and my brother really practice our faith. So it's not that like I had this super Catholic family where everybody stayed Catholic. No, everybody kind of went their own way, which I respect every one of my siblings and everything like that. But it's just funny to see how people end up in different places.
You're talking to people that live it with our kids too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see that with our kids, and I even see it with my brother as well. But
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody the other day. I come from there's 9 kids in our family. I've got 8 siblings, and quite a few of us left the faith, and yet all 9 are back.
Wow,
So,
praise God.
Yeah,
that's unusual.
my mom was on her knees a lot, I guess.
Your family's all practicing Catholics too, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
All your brothers and sisters, yeah.
we on different track.
Oh, I know. It's more in the culture. Is that what you're trying to say? Or-
Yeah. We right now, I think for us is the next generation that we're most concerned. My nieces and nephew.
Boo
Yeah.
and Theodore. What are those guys doing these days?
Vu is in medical school,
Yeah.
and Theodore is working a guns range.
That's pretty diametrically opposed.
That's awesome.
But are they practicing their faith though?
Oh, they have no choice.
Right.
Like I say, they're after their kids. That's what we're concerned. How
Third generation.
third generation, when they actually settle into American culture, everything, that's all they know. What will happen? That's when we are working on that right now as a culture in the United States, Vietnamese.
Interesting. So family played a key part in your life and your calling. So you went to Lexington Catholic, went to UK. Would you major in UK?
So I majored in accounting and business management, and really I just did business management for the first 4 years, and then I kind of panicked at the end of that. I finished the degree in that spring semester, I think, but I was like, dang, I don't want to enter the family business because that's what I've been doing all through college.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to go back for accounting and see how that works. So I did another year at UK and got another degree in accounting.
Well, I'm going to say something you just said to
yeah.
Dallas. Praise God, because we know our pastors need business skills.
Well, the problem is I never really used it, so I don't know how useful I am.
It'll come back to you. It'll come back to you, right? It's important.
Of course, very important. Actually, St. Mildred right now offer classes for seminarian priests in business, accounting management.
Yeah, they're making it compulsory now.
Yeah.
They're very important.
It's just such a critical part of parish life, really. I mean, there's not a parish in this country, dare I say, that's doesn't have to worry about the financial side of the business side of church, so.
Like it or not, is a business. Okay.
Yeah. People argue with me when I say that. And when I say that, I say that with all due respect and with a deep faith. But at the end of the day, in the culture that we live in, we have lights that we turn on.
And I think that's a ministry too, is to be a good steward and to use your resources, leverage your resources to spread the gospel, like what y'all are doing here. This took money to be able to do. This took,
No, his money.
And all his money, okay.
And his money.
But, this is what we're supposed to be doing. New evangelization, reaching out, and this is important. And without business skills, you guys probably wouldn't have been able to do this.
Right. Well, it's interesting you say that, because I listened to another podcast, a Catholic podcast, and it's a priest, 2 priests and a lay person, I think, and they were talking about how churches kind of have this little rainy day fund, and they're putting it away, and his message was, this is the time you use your rainy day fund. If you're not doing something on social media, if you're not live streaming, if you're not a part of the new evangelization in an electronic forum, you're toast. You're going to lose out. It has to happen, and it has to happen now, because what's happening outside of the Catholic Church or all the other Christian religions, we're already, at an entertainment value, we're way up here anyway. Now, for them to go live stream and pull people to that faith is even easier for them.
Well, since you bring it up, let me take a second to advertise our new ministry program that we will implement on October the 4th, right? We are joining with Good Shepherd, our neighbor parish.
In Frankfurt, not in
Frankfurt.
not in
Okay.
Whitley City. Is that where your Good Shepherd is?
Not that would, yeah. There's 3 good shepherds.
And
in
we
our
put
diocese.
together a program called Christ in My Home. And we use the story of Zacchaeus when Jesus calls Zacchaeus to come down. And Jesus, first thing he said, I want to stay at your home. So the idea is that every Sunday night, there will be a small reflection. Our deacon are part of that. They don't know that yet, but they are. Share a small reflection of the gospel and posing a few questions that we prepare for the family to sit together and reflect that gospel to prepare for the following Sunday to go to Mass. Because we want to take this opportunity because thank God for COVID. Hate to say it, but
No,
sometimes that's positive.
it has helped the family dynamic. There's no doubt about that.
They're all together. So this is the way for family to really sit down and reflect on the gospel. That is the ground root of everything, isn't it? So we hope to launch that on October the 4th, that first weekend on October, and we'll see what happens. This all come down because of this pandemic, and social media is the way to go. So Steve is helping our first video. We're going to do an advertisement probably by next week. We're going to be post live.
It's like you said, thank God for COVID, but it does challenge, I think, the Catholic Church more than most other churches.
Oh, yeah.
So
we have to think outside the box. This is the way to do it,
We do, and we're, we obviously have been blessed with this Cardome campus, which has helped out quite a bit, but we've got to reach out virtually, and that just has to happen. So, any questions out there in the cyberspace world there, Dallas?
Not yet. Not any. Okay, you got your second degree,
That's correct.
and then you went home and you said, I want to be a priest.
No, that's not what happened. I think so. I was a really immature kid. So like during my high school years, typical kind of wanted to be cool, and really, I had a hard time like differentiating myself from my family, I would say. So, my high school years, I look back on that, and I was like, man, who was I even? Like I was still, I guess it's typical adolescent thing, trying to find yourself, create your own identity separate from your parents, everything like that. So high school years, I kind of went away from the faith a little bit. I think the sexual abuse crisis, I'm of that generation where, 2002, 2001, I was 11, 12 years old. And, hear that these priests that, when I was younger, I was told that it was even a sin to criticize a priest. So to see the sins of these priests and, it hit our diocese. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but it did, in a hard way. And, I was at the cathedral. So, if you know the history of the cathedral.
Yep.
Yeah. So during high school, typical thing, like I don't think I didn't believe. I think I still believed in God, but I just didn't really care about it. It wasn't like I took the time to really become like an atheist. I was just like, yeah, God probably exists. I don't really care about it. It's kind of lame. And I kind of saw the Catholic faith is kind of lame, to be honest. But I think when I exited high school, when I went to college, like my 2 best friends, they didn't go to UK. And so I was kind of, alone there, and I was working a lot on the farm. And I think I entered into kind of, I guess it was like a reflective point for me, because like I was kind of isolated from community, and I was working a lot, and, I was just going to school basically as, that's what I was expected to do. But I knew that I was going to work on the farm. So it was kind of like it was definitely an identity crisis. And like, I didn't really, where's my life headed? Who am I? All those, questions that I guess young people ask themselves. And I began, I think when I was about 20, to listen to Catholic radio a lot. I listened to, the radio station that we have here. But I was still too afraid. I'm very introverted, very shy. Especially back then, I was much more so. So I didn't go to like the Newman Center on campus at UK. I thought Focus was kind of lame too. I didn't want to be involved in that. I got invited to a lot of Focus things. But, I did a lot of research myself, and I've always been kind of that way, like looking into the faith. Towards the end of college, I really started I started to engage more kind of the intellectual part of the faith, and I really started to doubt, the existence of God, all of that. I think I kind of went through that. I was 21 years old probably. And so I really struggled with that, and I was just finishing that degree in college at UK, and I knew that I probably didn't want to work with the family business the rest of my life. but I didn't really have a plan for myself outside of that, and I was kind of losing the little faith that I probably did have. And so I would say like 2012, that summer, I was still working on the farm, family business, and that was kind of a time of like a lot of reflection and back and forth. And when it got to be, I finished my accounting degree in 2013. I kind of knew that I needed to become a priest. It was really weird. It was really like I went through this like back and forth, does God exist? Does God not exist? And really engaging with my faith every day, like kind of intellectually, but not talking to anybody. But by the end of that year, I was like, I think God does exist. And, I don't have any plan for my life. And if God exists, it was kind of very immature. I would say my vocation was very immature at that time. But if God exists, what better way than to dedicate my life towards him? And so I started praying more, and I reached out to Father Steve Roberts, who was the vocations director at the time, and we started doing spiritual direction. And then when I got sent to seminary, I think that was probably pretty premature in 2014 because my vocation was very immature, but the formation process in seminary really helped me to confirm that God really was calling me to this. So it's kind of a non-compelling story because it didn't involve anybody else. I'm just very introverted, so like, it was all going on. The battle for my soul was going on in my head. So, yeah, that's basically my story, I think.
That's a really good story.
Yeah.
We all have a different story, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Each and every one of us. I have a similar with you because I was at UK as well and extremely introvert and always battle over the idea, something called me something greater. And it was my brother, who is a priest now, was for me data in Dayton. He came home one day and he said, "Len, you thought I'll become a priest?" I said, "Yeah, right." And then just literally one day I said, "Okay, what the hell? Let's give a shot at it." Right? And I remember my driving with Jim Bastian. He was in a master degree, electrical engineering. Now he's a chaplain for military. He ended up studying Buffalo. And we both drove there right after final exam. And literally, I look at him at the steeple. I look at him and say, what are we doing here? He said, "Len, calm down. If meant to be, if meant to be." So
Where were you at when that happened?
on the right when we drove up to St. Myra and saw the steeple.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it is. And so the famous, when I graduate, finished my college there, the famous shirt that we print actually behind the rear view mirror and the two chapel right behind us from the rear mirror. We say goodbye to the place. But, God called us in a strange way, right?
That's true.
And I remember, one of my experiences was literally have a hangover. And the fan kind of spin your head, and we, in my family, basically, you have to go to church no matter what, no compromise. So many times, sit in with Father Dan No, who was a pastor at Newman Center, and it was sitting there with like huge headache and hangover, and you just sat there. God will mysterious way, every one of us.
Absolutely.
But we have to attune to that mystery, right?
Yeah, I will say, even those times, because my situation is very similar to yours, even those times when I didn't really believe in God or I was struggling with that, I kept on going to Mass because that was so deeply ingrained, a habit of mine, which I can only, give thanks to my parents for. It's like I couldn't go, this isn't any credit of mine, but I couldn't go through a Sunday not going to Mass, even if I, might have been hungover or if I had horse shit manure on me after working on the farm, I was going to go to Mass. It just was going to happen just because that was just who I was at that point.
But I think it's a good point that hope our listener out there to know whatever the conflict you have, whatever crisis, go to church,
Yep.
spend some time with the Lord. And I always, every married couple or couple coming with problem, first thing I ask, do you go to church? It's so crucial. Kids, I tell them, if you can get anything out, just go to church anyway. Just go.
Yeah, no, my life definitely testifies to that. Even when I found church boring, the power of the Mass is just, it transcends any lameness that the priest might be,
Oh, yeah.
Imposing on the liturgy or whatever, the bad music, whatever. Jesus is there.
It's there all the time. I think very important. It's very important the mystery is there. Yeah.
Well, one of the questions that just came in was, what advice do you have for parents to keep their teens and young adults engaged in our faith?
As the youngest priest, you should be able to answer that better than anybody.
I am a Luddite. Like when you're talking about technology, I'm definitely a Luddite. I just joined Facebook for the first time this year, and that's because St. Mildred's made me join Facebook. So I'm.
You went through all college and seminary without being on Facebook?
I told you I was introverted. I hate.
Wow.
This is how, I was definitely very self-loathing in high school, because I remember thinking when Facebook was out, there was MySpace too before that. I remember thinking, who would want to be my friend, like, on Facebook? Like, who am I to think that I could have friends on Facebook? So that tells you a little bit about my personality, kind of this melancholic, self-loathing, introverted person. But and I definitely love myself. I'm not trying to, I'm not a complete self-hater. But just joking about it. Keeping young people engaged in the faith. Gosh, this is so. I feel myself old at this point. To be honest, I'm 30, so I'm a different generation. Than young people or teenagers, definitely. It's a totally different generation. So keeping young people engaged in the faith, I think the main thing that I see is to be open and non-reactive when they rebel. I think that's a huge thing. So when a young person like it says, I think, I don't believe in God, or the church hates gays, or whatever it might. Those are big issues, I think, nowadays. Right. Don't react so hard. Listen, ask questions. Be like, okay, why do you think that? Or, why do you say that? What are your values? What kind of world would you like to create? So, engage them and show that you have a listening, or an orientation towards listening and understanding instead of, imposing, because that's just going to drive people away. But, I don't know the specific situation of the person asking the question, but I would say listening and trying to be understanding is huge.
I think that's pretty good advice. Yeah, because I'm an authoritarian. So when that happened with my sons, which it did, I was going to force it on them. That doesn't work. You can't force the faith on people. I mean, we both experienced things with our kids and stuff that you got to let them figure it out.
Yeah, even if you could force it on them, you wouldn't want to, because I saw that in myself, is that the kid who's, I want to obey my parents and do everything they want. That's not good. They need to differentiate themselves from the family, find their own identity,
absolutely.
and make the faith their own.
And I think that's, with my kids, I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of, is that my kids have found who they are independent of who I am.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it's harder than ever now with this generation and the technology and the entertainment. Everybody's got to be entertained, and I mean the Facebooks and the games, and you go to mass, and if you don't believe what's going on, it's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. we definitely, the church has to do a better job of and we say it all the time, catechesis, but really having folks understand what's going on at Mass, because what happens a lot of times, though, is like you said, you just kept going. Sometimes when that happens, people just they tune out because they don't understand what's going on. And we have to educate people to that. I think it's a critical part. And obviously, your parents did a good job of keeping you locked in.
I mean, that is a good thing, but like it didn't work for all the siblings. So I'm my personality, for some reason, God, through his grace, kept me going to church and kept me doing that. But my other siblings, they didn't have any problem stop going to Mass because they were just different,
Yeah, no, we're all different, right? And God works in our lives in different ways. And I'm a firm believer that God has us where he wants us. And if we can hear him and respond to his will, he'll take us to great places. Yeah, we may not see it that way, but that's what
that is something very important. I think in our generation, in our culture now, we want an instant now. You know what I'm saying? You look at the history of the church, you can compare between Thomas Aquinas and St. Augustine. It's two different stories.
Right.
Augustine, he wandered the world. Thomas Merton, for example. To deal with a kid, like you say, I agree. Pope Francis said to encounter and engage. We all react so quickly Just a big kid go home and say, "Mom, I don't believe in God." Oh no, that's the end of the world.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
You know.
I know how I respond.
What did I did wrong? You know, relax.
Yeah.
I told many advise the parents to relax. He or she it want to engage with you, some type of conversation. They might throw that at you, but don't react so quickly, as you say, and just listen.
That's easier said than done.
No,
Yeah,
but I think
definitely.
sometimes though,
As a parent,
I think sometimes that reaction though, at least for me, is, and you did a good job of talking about it from your faith story perspective, is most people have gone through that phase in their lives, right? I went through that phase, and it was a silent phase for me. I mean, I can remember laying at home in my mom and dad's house up in my bedroom thinking there is no God, but nobody else knew it. Nobody else knew I felt that way. I was still going to church and all those things. But so when I hear, one of my kids have that thing, but it's vocalized, I don't want to show weakness, right? I don't want to show weakness in my faith, because if this is my thinking here, I'm not saying this is correct. This is the totally incorrect thing to do, but you try to force strength, the strength of my faith is strong in me. I'm going to force that onto you, because if I show weakness, but that's where God's the strongest, is when we are vulnerable and we're weak.
That's what St. Paul say, right? That's St. Paul language. So, just because your sibling right now, they're not going to church, doesn't mean they end up like Dallas' brother and sister. Now they're all engaged in the faith.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Mass from the time I was 12 years old till I was 34. And then mine was a 2x4 moment, You just, God's time, God's ways aren't our ways. I think I preach on about that this weekend.
Oh, well.
I have to go to church to do
God's way.
If you want to hear the rest of the
we
story.
need you. Okay, we don't need him, me, or him, but we need
We have
you.
to have you.
Or you. You can show up.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, love to have you. He'd love to have you up here for a weekend, I'm sure. It's pretty easy right now, though, right? Just one Mass on our weekends.
Hey, I'm on vacation right now. I'm telling you, past 5 months is awesome.
He admitted it.
But I missed it. What?
He just admitted that he's on vacation for the last 5 months. I think that's it's a dilemma. I think that all families encounter today in a much more visible way than it would have happened in the 80s when we were growing up, 70s, 80s, or even in your culture, because whether your nephews feel that way or not, they wouldn't vocalize it. I wouldn't have vocalized it in my house, because if I would have vocalized it in my house, I know what would have happened to me.
Yep.
And it's just a different culture. And I try to respond in the current culture based on the way my dad would have responded, which is totally wrong, right? And so we just have to listen. I like your same advice that you gave to raising young kids is good advice for even folks that are my age that don't have young kids.
Yeah,
really.
the one thing that I would say, I just want to add one thing about engaging the young people, is this is something that I found very cringe. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, cringe. That's a big. Anyways, what I found very cringe, in my youth, is when the church tried to be too relevant to the kids, where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have the, I guess I don't want to be so negative, but the Life Team Mass." I have to say, I just got to be completely honest. I detested the Life Teen Mass. I'm sorry to Life Teeners out there. I'm sorry. I repent. I'm sorry.
Aren't they still doing that at the cathedral?
No, they're not. I don't think they're doing
They
Life
did.
Teen.
They were
They used
doing
to have it at Mary Queen. Do they still have it at Mary Queen?
I don't know. I'm sorry if they do. I'm sorry, listeners. I'm offending you. But I detested the Life Teen Mass because I don't know.
I did too, by the way.
I just got to be honest, because I think it's so condescending to say, we can't give you real Catholicism, a real encounter with Jesus. We need to dumb it down or mold it into what we are projecting, the worldview that we think you have. We're projecting onto you. We need to form it into that image.
We need to add some drums.
Yeah, and I'm sorry.
An electric guitar.
We're just not. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like the 70s reincarnation, isn't it?
Yeah.
The 70s.
So I would say give authentic Catholicism to your kids. Don't water it down. The hard teachings, teach the hard teachings with compassion, and don't change who you are to try to win over people. I guess St. Paul said, try to be all things to all people, but don't change your core beliefs. Be like, yeah, it's hip to whatever in church. No, just be yourself, be authentic. I think that's what young people, at least that's what I was looking for as a young person. I don't know what Generation Z, what they're looking for, but.
Well, it's a different world right now. I mean, there's lots of different I preached about this a few weeks ago, that it used to be a set group of topics. Abortion was always a big issue. Abortion's not a big issue for the current generation, right? It's the environment, right? So things change, and when those big topics change, obviously, we have to change too, right?
Yeah,
we have
that
to
is
recognize
true.
that.
That is true.
And I think that's probably one of the things the church has not done well, is prepare our families for that. Educate parents about how to deal with that. Not just in a podcast show, what we're trying to do now, obviously, but even offer that is in small group discussions, or even if it comes out in Bible study or in some type of adult formation or whatever. We have to be in a position to change the way we approach and educate our families. Graphics. Fishing report? Are you talking about the fishing report? You're talking about, yeah. So, you're for the rest of eternity, you are linked with our deacon class. You know that, right? So
Yes, because I'm in the photos.
you're in every single one of our photos. I have one and actually there's going to be one up on the screen right now so the viewers can see it. Every deacon ordained that year you're kneeling right next to us holding the book as the bishop is handing us our book, or our hands are in his hands.
I'm sorry you got to have that ugly mug in that picture.
Well, and ironically, it's funny because you say you're an introvert, but you're really one of the first, when I was going to St. Mildred for my weekend classes, you're one of the first Lexington seminarians to really come up to me, because we recognized each other, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were very open. A lot of seminarians aren't that way, especially the younger ones. So I never thought of you as an introvert. He says he's an introvert too, which
Oh my gosh, Father Lynn?
yeah,
You have to.
Okay, yeah.
he's an introvert.
Literally woke up
Okay.
one day in the seminary. I say, I can't be like this. So I changed. Now I talk way too much.
No, I actually feel that too. The seminary really helped to open me up. Like, it used to exhaust me to talk to like strangers and everything like that. Now I can talk to anybody, and I'm not saying I could talk well, but it's just like, okay, I'll talk with you.
Conversation is
Yeah.
a good thing. St. Mildred is a good place.
It's a beautiful place. That's one of the things I have to admit I am missing now, not going back to St. Mildred, because, this is kind of the weeks in which you begin and everything like that. I'm very happy to be a priest, but it's like, especially the way we ended last semester, we were sent home right in the middle of the semester. It's kind of, you never got, the kind of the final send off and to say goodbye. But yeah, St. Mildred's beautiful.
Best thing about St. Mildred?
Gosh, I just think the history and the fact that it's at a monastery adds an extra element of contemplation. I could really pray there, and I really found God in prayer there.
Yeah, we ought to do like we ought to do a show from St. Mildred.
It's not that easy.
Like
that hard.
Yeah,
easy.
no, like when they have the alumni reunion weekend or something like that, we could all go up there because we're all alumni. Even you're an alumni, even Deacon alumni. We could go up there and have a show up there on the.
They actually have a studio up there.
Where at? Which building?
I used to, at least.
St. Bede, up there on the top floor, right?
Well, they
If I
closed
remember.
the top floor. I don't know what else is up there. When it was in.
Well, some of the young monks have a podcast.
They have
Yeah,
a podcast.
yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Brother
Simon-
Joel and Brother Colby.
Yeah.
Is it
Maybe
Colby?
maybe Deacon Brother Simon right now. Yeah.
He got just.
Yeah.
Didn't he just
He's
get
a
ordained?
deacon, but I know that, yeah, when you're a monk, you don't call it deacon. You just go by brothers.
Brother.
Yeah.
He's going to be a good one too.
Oh, no, he's awesome.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
he was in my first weekend class. It was Creed with Father Dennis, which was like the best class because the final project for that class, Father Dennis was going to Rome, so he walked in and he said, "I'm leaving for Rome." Let me do my best Father Dennis impression. "I'm leaving for Rome, and I'm not reading your papers." So we're done. But Brother Simon was in that class and just super good guy.
Future abbot of St. Mildred. I'm calling it right now.
Boom. That's a pretty bold prediction.
2045.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
So I tell you what, next time we'll have you back on the podcast, but we'll come to you next time. You'll have good internet down there?
Yeah.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll make it a fishing weekend.
There you
Go
go.
down and fish.
I fished those ponds. You ain't no fish in those ponds. I can tell you that right now.
No. I'm
No,
saying
at St. Mildred.
at St.
though.
Mildred.
At Lake
We're going to
Cumberland.
Lake Cumberland,
Lake
baby.
Cumberland.
Oh,
We'll go
okay.
down there and do some real crappie fishing. Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever fish the ponds at St. Mildred?
I never did.
I fished them. I can't. I caught one fish in the 3 times I
What
fished there.
you fish on the bigger pond or the little pond?
Both of them. I went
Let's
walked
get
back and
those
forth.
fishing report pictures ready because he really is a fisherman. We'll throw those up. And Dallas, tell us about your. We have a little segment we call fishing.
I mean, there
report.
ain't much to tell. It's at Taylorsville Lake. Went to Tuesday with my brother.
on your
Had-
new boat.
Now, this is just a few of the pictures. That we had a pretty good day. Caught several big fish.
You're not sharing at all?
I don't like the taste of bass, so I don't keep any bass, even if they are keepers.
Why don't you get some crappie then?
Because we just ain't crappie fishing right now.
Why don't you keep the bass and bring it to me?
I brought you fish before, didn't I?
For a show, but I need real food here.
He wants to eat.
I need some food.
You can't find his fishing pictures.
Yeah, that was the biggest one I caught.
Yeah.
It's on there now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well, we're delayed. You're delayed about 20 seconds when you see that. So,
Oh, yeah.
I have a question here for Father Taylor. Was there a Danny Taylor? You relate to a Danny Taylor from Lexington Catholic who was killed in a car wreck, graduates in 1967?
Dang, gosh. Who's? Well, I want to ask who's asking the question, but yes, that's one of my uncles. That was my uncle. I guess that's who I'm named after, but I'm also named after my great grandfather, who was also Dan Taylor. But yes, I had an uncle. He was my dad's oldest brother, who died in a car wreck in what year? What was it?
67.
67. Okay,
you weren't born.
that's so random.
The person said you have Sam hair, Sam kind eyes.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Well,
Wow. So you never
Cool.
know what kind of questions you're going to
gosh,
get here.
I want to talk to that person. Maybe they can give me some good stories about my Uncle Danny.
Both Lexington Catholic graduates. So
Yeah, one of the few. Well, just to mention this, we only have 3. This is something I wanna put out there. We only have 3 Lexington Catholic grads that are priests in the diocese. We need to get on top of that. We need to get on top of that. We need to start
they are.
their father. So myself.
Right.
Actually, this is funny. Father Danny Taylor, which is me. Father Danny Schwindeman, and then Father Danny Pfister. So start recruiting more Dannys.
we got one more priest, but he's not from our diocese. Is
Who is that?
Van Daniker.
Yeah, that's right. And then Father Bush.
Father
that
Bush.
predates Lexington Catholic, but it was the school that.
Oh, John Curtis,
Oh, he went to Lexington Catholic. Oh,
John
sorry.
Curtis. more current, but those old generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be more than I'm.
He might
I'm
have been.
just-
John Curtis might have been there when Father Bob Nieberding was the principal.
Yes.
That's going way back.
Or no. Before Father Bob Nieberding.
Wow.
Father Curtis, I think he's a classmate of John Carter
Oh, from our parish.
from our parish.
Cool.
And the last principal is Sally
Stevens.
Stevens, yeah.
was their classmate.
Wow.
Yeah, there's several. John Carter's chiming in. It says, is he kin to Danny Taylor? And you just answered that. Danny was brother to Mary Jo. Plenty of stories. Danny was my best friend in freshman and sophomore years.
Oh, cool.
Were you
Well,
getting that from John Carter too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. See,
Yeah,
it's a small world.
And this is what's funny, in families, when somebody dies, I have 2 uncles who died kind of tragically. People don't talk about them, so you don't learn about them because I guess it's so painful to bring up.
Right.
But I would love to learn about, my uncle.
There you go. Any more questions for Father Danny? Y'all got any more questions?
Right now, not yet.
All right. Well, we got another segment that we like to do here. This is Saint of the Day, according to our Franciscan media folks. Saint Joseph of
Cupertino.
Cupertino. There's a Cooper. That's where Apple's headquartered, but I don't think he was from there, right? Saint of the Day.
This is Franciscan Media's Saint of the Day for September 18th. Today we celebrate Saint Joseph of Cupertino. He has been called the Flying Friar, but the fact that Joseph of Cupertino could levitate or float in the air during prayer wasn't the most remarkable thing about him. The depth of his holiness was. He entered the conventual Franciscans, and though challenged by his studies, He persisted and was ordained in 1628. Joseph's tendencies to levitate during prayer became something of a cross. Some people came to observe him much as they might go to a circus sideshow. But Joseph's unusual gift led him to be humble, patient, and obedient, though at times he was greatly tempted and felt forsaken by God. His fellow Franciscans transferred Joseph several times for his own good and for the good of the rest of the community. He spent some years in out-of-the-way friaries. Reported to and investigated by the Inquisition, eventually he was exonerated. Immediately after his death in 1663, miracles were reported at his tomb. Joseph of Cupertino was canonized 100 years later. There's more about the saints along with inspiration and Catholic resources at our website, saintoftheday.org. From Franciscan Media, this has been Saint of the Day.
The Flying Priest.
Have you seen the movie?
I have not.
The
but
Reluctant Saint? That's what it's called. I've seen the movie probably 20 times. My favorite Catholic.
It's about him?
Yeah, my favorite Catholic movie. It's a black and white movie, really old. It's fantastic. Really done really well.
the ultimate Frisbee course
go.
at St. Meinrad
I'll tell you who.
is named Cupertino.
Really?
Oh, is that right?
So it's named after him, I guess, because the Frisbee
Frisbee.
flies. Yeah.
What was his name? The movie star in the Fantasy Island.
Oh, Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah, he plays in it.
Really?
He's a priest who doesn't believe that he can fly and all that. It's a pretty good movie.
Conventual friar. Or Franciscan, conventual Franciscan.
There you go.
So,
There's a
okay.
lot of saints in a conventional.
Can our bishop fly?
Yeah.
Oh, at time he flew a lot.
We'll have to have him on the show sometime, too. I'm waiting until we get a few more episodes underneath our belt. I don't know if I'm ready for bishop, although bishops in general, although you said, you tried to get Bishop Barron. He said no. You said you can still get him. I wrote that down, just so you know.
Just let me know when we can reach him.
That's up to you.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah. That's what you said. I'll get him.
Find me an email. His email.
You got his email. We'll make it happen.
Just find me his email. I personal contact him.
Hey, next week, we don't have a guest lined up, but it'll probably be some high theological topic of some sort. Or maybe there'll be a new guest that'll pop in. We've got some that we're working on. It'll be something like that. Who knows? Just a reminder that 3 weeks ago we had the Ellisons on, Dwayne and Chrissy for the Finley Foundation. Today is, this weekend is, there you go.
Look at this.
Zoom in on that. There it is.
My official medal of all my life.
It is the Finley
5K.
The Finley 5K weekend. So
this
it's,
medal been traveled with me everywhere I goes.
So you're getting your 5K in through walking. Yes.
Swinging.
You're not running. Okay. Nice. So it is race weekend, virtual this year, obviously. So if you signed up, you picked up your packet, get out there and get your 5K done. Post your results. Tune in to the Finley Foundation Facebook page tomorrow. They're going to be doing stories all day long, streaming stories about SIDS, families that are affected by SIDS. So it's a great opportunity to hear those stories that you normally would not hear. Usually on the race weekend, they highlight one. I think they're doing eight tomorrow. So tune into that. And if you have not supported the Finley Foundation, you can do so at finley105.org, finley105.org. Your money goes to help research and combat SIDS. Great cause. Hey, and if you're a follower of St. Mildred Church in Somerset and you're watching us, or just a fan of Father Danny Taylor, just like our page too, Saints Francis and John, we do a little stuff here. Got Father Lynn. So
That's all.
and we got a YouTube page too, so you can like both of them. If you're our regular listeners and those people that are watching on the podcast, make sure you go and look up St. Mildred's Church in Somerset, because probably if you live in Kentucky, you're going to end up down there sometime. Just if you're visiting Lake Cumberland, so make sure you like those pages too, because it's a virtual world and we're Catholic and we're trying to seize the moment, seize the day, as Gus Lloyd would say, right? You know who he is, Gus Lloyd?
No idea.
Oh, wow. Well, if you just joined Facebook, then you're probably not on satellite radio, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So, anyway, ssfj.org, that's our site for donations. anything you can think of, right, Father?
Yep.
Weekly tithing. Can we do the annual appeal through there as well? I'm pretty
Yes,
sure we
I
can.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So annual appeal's starting up here
Next week.
Yep. So somebody, I think. Oh,
I
that's
think
me.
Deacon Tim will preach on that
That's
weekend.
me. I almost forgot about that. I get to preach about the annual appeal. I'll fit that in.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Good video this year.
Really
One
good.
of your fellow classmates is featured prominently on there.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, Father Mark.
Mark
Yeah.
Bentley.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's good. He's poetic, man. It's like, wow, I would have given money to Annual to that.
Yeah, I watched it this afternoon and I was like, yeah, he's got a gift right there.
You
That was-
need to have him on the podcast. He would be a very interesting person to have on.
And he's in the mountains, right? He's out.
He's all the way in Ashland right
Ashland.
now, so that would be kind of hard. But
Yeah.
He's from Pikeville originally.
Yeah, that's my family. My daughter just moved from Pikeville
right.
to Moorhead.
Moorhead.
So who's the pastor in Moorhead?
Otoro.
I'm sure I will meet him, but I haven't met him yet. So anyway, support our ministry here, ssfj.org. Hey, most important, tell your friends. Give us a listen. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. All that other stuff. Father Danny Taylor, thank you for coming up here. Long drive. We always like to give Dallas. We always like to give our guests a little something just for coming up here.
Excellent.
This it will be the last rosary you ever need. It is a rugged rosary. It's made out of paracord.
can I show you something right now?
You got one already?
I got one right about.
man.
But no, it's great. It's great.
Which one you got
The
though?
Lord is.
Look at that.
It
Has
something
that
on
hasn't
his mind.
happened yet?
So
It's the same one.
it is the same one.
No, give me it back. I got another
No.
one at home. I got another one.
All right,
It's a different
all right.
one.
I'm sorry.
That's
I know,
all right.
I know it's a jerk move, but I just thought it was
No.
providence
So
or something. And I was praying the rosary on this on the way up. So
There you
it's
go.
Crazy.
See
So
that?
I
we'll-
love this. I love this rosary.
They're
Kudos. to-
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I've
good.
actually asked them to be a sponsor, and they're a family-run
And you
business.
still owe me a rosary.
What? Every time I give you one, you give them away.
You know who gave me this rosary actually?
Who?
That man right there. Ordination.
That's
present.
his ordination.
Yeah.
Bam! So that did come through here. Actually,
this is from
How
you.
God moved things around.
Yeah.
The Lord knows what He's doing.
that's a family-owned business. During the pandemic, they were sold out of rosaries, which is a great thing.
That's
Obviously,
awesome.
it's an awesome thing. I don't have a graphic for Steve to put up on Rugged Rosaries. I'll work on that for next week because I really want to kind of promote them. Don't get a discount. We pay for everything that we get, but it's a great family-owned business. They do a great job. They make quality products. If you're a Knight of Columbus, go check it out because they have a Knight of Columbus. Are you a Knight of Columbus?
Yes. Yeah.
3rd degree, 4th degree? What are you?
First degree.
Okay, you got some work to do now.
But I was the Grand Knight, the Deputy Grand Knight of the Council at the seminary, which I think is illegal.
It is. That's pretty cool, though. That's pretty good. So we owe you something. Do you drink bourbon?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We owe you one.
He's a priest. If he doesn't drink bourbon, he will.
Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for driving up. We appreciate it. We'll have you back sometime if that's okay with you.
Yeah, cool. It's been a pleasure. This
Yeah.
is awesome. Yeah, it's great to be here.
So who's up for the blessing?
Well, I leave the
You-
blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Father Danny.
I think Father
Father
Danny.
Can you give us our
his hand is
listeners?
still pure with oil.
Sure.
Or we have give all us a special blessing from.
Oh, special
Yeah, you
blessing?
have not give us a
Oh,
blessing.
gosh, I have to
because when he
remember.
was ordained,
He
we
couldn't.
couldn't go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now he owns us a blessing, newly ordained
Oh
blessing.
gosh, I'm trying to remember the blessing that I was supposed to give at the ordination. I'm just gonna do a simple blessing.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's fine. We're putting you on
my
the spot.
brain's not working today. All right, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The Lord be with you.
And
with
with
your
your
spirit.
spirit.
May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Go in peace.
Thanks be to God. Until next week, I'm still Deacon Tim.
I'm Deacon Dallas.
And I'm Father Lynn.
And you're
Father Danny.
Father Danny. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know one single thing that I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing and waiting around. It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time.